Well, that's it for Arsenal this season. Man City celebrating winning the league today. Whether or not they would have beat Chelsea, they would have gone on and gotten the results they needed from the last remaining game they had. It's a shame Arsenal fell short in the long run. I think Tony Adams touched on it pretty spot on. Jamie Carragher as well, just talking about the depth that Arsenal are lacking in terms of making it, throughout a 38 game season, 36 games, whatever it is, and to come this far, I think from where we stood last season, finishing fifth, extremely disappointing. I think it last season probably hurts more than this in a sense. I think the fact that nobody expected Arsenal to be challenging Manchester City for as long as they did, being top of the table during the Christmas break is no rewarding accomplishment. But when you reach 50 points at the halfway mark, you know to not be able to go on and build on that. Lots of talk about Arsenal 93%, 95% of the season, top of the league. At the end of the day, it just didn't go our way. Teams like Southampton, the West Ham game, Liverpool, is something I've touched on multiple times. But when the team itself capitulates and the players sort of fold, whether it's pressure, whether it's they're tired, that there's something there that you just saw this immense drop off from players. In the second half of the season, we look like a different team, really. And without making excuses, I'm not afraid of banter from other teams, but at a certain point, I don't listen to it, especially when it's from a Tottenham fan or a Chelsea fan or even Liverpool, because out of all the teams, they should know what it's like. In fact, know much better than Arsenal what it's like to lose a title to Manchester City. A couple seasons ago, they were 90 points and above and still lost. So that's the precedent and that's the standard that Man City has set. And Arsenal came very, very close. But at the end of the day, again, they fell short. And it's going to be a very big summer for Mikel and for Edu. Lots of players most likely going out. Granit Xhaka, obviously the biggest name, probably the most, without a doubt, the most solid information about his departure from Arsenal. Kieran Tierney, maybe next. Rumors have really not died down since January about him being favorites at Newcastle. Lots of rumors again about Manchester City. Could he move there? João Cancelo apparently rumored to be very well liked at Arsenal. Of course, Arteta worked with him for a brief moment, I think, during his time there at Man City. I could be wrong about that, but regardless, he obviously knows that the player is a very high quality player, likes to do that inversion that we've seen Zinchenko do. Of course, Zinchenko of Man City, very comfortable there under Arteta, and it's one of those things where I don't really, I'm not thinking about, what we can do better next season, because it still sort of hurts getting over this season here. And yes, I'm excited. Next season, we're going to be in the Champions League again, which is going to be absolutely fantastic, and that's going to give you the pull for some of these players like Declan Rice. He absolutely loves West Ham. Everybody knows it. He's the captain of West Ham. They're in a European final. If he can win that final, get West Ham back into Europe, get them in the Europa League, which is obviously miles ahead of the Conference League. He's going to feel very good, I think, about moving on, and he's going to want to play a Champions League football, I think, for the rest of his career. He's a very young man still. Again, has captained his club, very well liked amongst multiple clubs. Chelsea, of course, Arsenal favorites from what I've read multiple times. I think Ornstein has said it. Fabrizio has said it himself. So it's very suitable for Arsenal to go in for a player like Rice. Obviously, Moses Caicedo is the other name, a player we desperately wanted in January. Ended up getting Jorginho, which has worked out, I think, in our favor. Clearly, he slotted in there, and since he came in, did very well. I think a couple poor performances, but who hasn't had a poor performance for Arsenal this season, especially in the second half of it. Lots of players pointing fingers at players like Saka and Odegaard, and it's not even worth the effort at this point to defend players like that, because Saka has carried this football club for the last 3 years, really, with his energy and his attitude, and he stepped up in the big moments, and sometimes when he stepped up, he hasn't quite been himself. And you look back at the penalty miss against West Ham. Would it have cost us the league? You see, you get 3 points there, but it's just a game of what if. Would we have lost to Brighton? Would we have lost to Forest? It's just a game. There's no point in trying to play that game at this point. We have one more game left. We've qualified for Champions League. We're gonna finish second place no matter what, and I think that's a fantastic achievement overall. It doesn't negate the fact that obviously I'm very, very disappointed we haven't won the league. But you can still be proud of this team. You can still see progress that's happened over the last 4 seasons. Eighth place twice, excuse me. He's got an FA Cup, Mikel, but that's a very different team from the team that he has now. And you'd expect him to go on next season, get the players he wants, and try to push for a Premier League title. And of course, balancing the games in Europe, the best competition in Europe in the Champions League. You're going to need to rest players like Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. What a huge miss he was yesterday. Everyone raving about Trossard. Of course, Trossard brilliant in his own right. But yesterday, nobody was up for it. There's no point in pointing at specific players and saying they didn't do this, they didn't do that. I thought Arteta got it wrong with the formation, experimenting at this point. Maybe he's trying. I mean, is this how they're going to play next season? Is Thomas Partey going to play at right back? I highly doubt it. Kieran Tierney sitting on the bench, can't even get in at left back when Zinchenko's out. He would prefer to play Kiwior there, which is very, very strange. Still seeing nothing from Emile Smith-Rowe. I think if Smith-Rowe isn't starting or getting at least 30 minutes in the last game of the season against Wolves, then surely that's him gone. I mean, no lacking of quality from clubs that would want him. I'm sure there's a lot of clubs in Germany who would love to have a player like Smith Rowe, and even in England. I mean, he's a fantastic young player. I don't know what's happened there. I felt better a couple weeks ago when there was rumors about him. Arteta sort of playing him and training him for the role that Xhaka has been playing this season that he's done so brilliantly at. Excuse me, and you just haven't seen him since then. A couple appearances, he gets 10 minutes every 3 or 4 games. It's just very, very strange. That number 10 jersey, I swear it is cursed. I always said this when Wilshere would come and you'd see this bright young player and he would just get injury after injury after injury. And yeah, it's sad. It's very disappointing. I'm sure the players are disappointed, but to lose like they did, you didn't die on your sword. You died before you got to the battlefield. That's what it felt like. I think after that loss to Brighton, they had maybe accepted that the season was over, and I would love to see Mikel's team talk going into that game against Forest, because the way they played, it didn't seem like they were motivated to do anything, and maybe his deep down he probably knew, and it certainly seemed like the players weren't believing it themselves when they went out, and yeah, just really, really poor, man, really, really poor. Next season can't come quick enough. It's going to be nice to have a bit of a break. Obviously, journalists are going to be extremely busy with all the rumors flying around. I'll be making videos, obviously, during the summer when everything gets exciting and players are rumored to join. News about other teams, Premier League in general, etc. So it won't be the last video for the season, but I do want to say thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, I do really appreciate it, and I will see you when I see you.